The glow of your monitor bathes your face in a cold, unfeeling light. The candles of price dance and flicker on the chart, green shooting upward like fireworks, red plunging downward like blood dripping from a blade. You lean closer, pulse quickening, eyes scanning for patterns you swore you recognized in last night's analysis. But in the span of a single heartbeat, the neat lines you drew, the arrows pointing confidently toward profit, have all become irrelevant. The market has turned, without warning, without explanation. What once looked like the beginning of a golden run is now collapsing like sand slipping through your fingers. Your plan, carefully rehearsed, polished, and repeated like a mantra, evaporates in the heat of volatility. You came here for riches. You came with the hunger of freedom, the dream of writing your own fate. Yet in this moment, all you can feel is the tightening in your chest, the tremor in your hand hovering over the mouse, the sickening doubt crawling into your gut. You whisper to yourself, should I close? Should I hold? Should I double down? And in that hesitation, you realize something strange. It isn't the market that just cost you. It isn't the algorithm or the spread or the volatility of gold or crypto or forex. It is you. The paradox hits hard. You came to make money, but it is your emotions that cost you the most. Think back. How many times have you sworn to stick to a strategy? You drafted rules, printed them out, taped them to your wall. You promised yourself to risk no more than 2% per trade, to wait for confirmation, to follow your edge with surgical precision. But then, the candle spiked, or collapsed, or whipsawed with such violence that it felt personal. And suddenly, the plan that once felt like a shield turned into dead weight. You broke it. Again. You told yourself this time would be different. But when fear surged, when greed whispered, when ego demanded revenge, all your discipline dissolved. And afterward, staring at the wreckage of your account or the missed opportunity that mocked you, you asked the question every trader eventually faces but rarely admits. Are you really trading the market, or is the market trading you? Because let's be honest, the charts do not know you exist. They are indifferent to your presence, deaf to your prayers. They climb and crash, rise and fall, without regard for your hopes or fears. Yet when you watch them, you feel something: terror, excitement, despair, euphoria, and those feelings write your actions, often more powerfully than logic ever could. The real battlefield is not on the screen. It is in your skull. You may believe you are hunting profits, but in truth, the market is hunting you, your impatience, your hesitation, your arrogance. It teases them out, amplifies them, and exposes them under the merciless light of price movement. Every spike is a test, every collapse is a mirror, and every decision, though framed as a trade, is actually a confession of who you are when pressure crushes pretense. Think about the last time you felt certain. The setup was clean, the momentum undeniable. You entered, swelling with confidence, but as soon as the trade turned against you even slightly, the certainty unraveled. The mind began bargaining. It's just a retracement. It'll come back. Then, the loss widened. Suddenly, panic grabbed you by the throat. You closed too soon, bleeding out. Or worse, you held on, refusing to accept defeat until the market forced it upon you like a punishment. And afterward, when the chart did finally reverse after you had already exited in anguish, you felt the sting of betrayal, as though the market mocked you personally. But it wasn't betrayal. It was your own fear, your own greed, your own refusal to obey your plan. The lesson is brutal. In trading, the enemy is not volatility. It is vulnerability. The more you chase certainty, the more you lose it. You draw patterns, fib retracements, moving averages, indicators upon indicators, stacking them like fortresses. You tell yourself you are in control. But then, in a flash, the fortress falls, and there you are again alone with your emotions. What do you call this? Strategy? No, it is theater. A performance where you dress yourself in analysis to mask the truth, that the market is not controlled, only confronted. And most traders lose because they never learn to confront themselves. So here it is, the great paradox that should stop you in your tracks. You thought you were coming here to trade gold, or forex, or crypto. You thought this was about predicting the next candle. You thought this was about extracting money from the chaos. But what if the real trade is not external at all? What if every entry is a wager against your own fear? What if every exit is a battle with your own greed? What if every loss is not a punishment, but a reflection? And most disturbingly, what if the market does not take your money first, it takes your soul? Because isn't that how it feels? Each bad trade doesn't just deplete your account, it corrodes your confidence, your peace, your identity. Each reckless decision doesn't just lose pips or dollars, it makes you question who you are, what you're capable of, whether you belong in this game at all. You came seeking freedom, yet already you sense the chains. The truth you must face is this: trading is not about charts, not about currencies, not about commodities. Those are the stage props. The real theater plays inside you, unseen by others, but devastatingly real. When you sit at that desk, staring into the abyss of flashing numbers, you are not competing against other traders, you are competing against yourself, against your own biology, hardwired for fear and greed, against your own mind, addicted to certainty where none exists, against your own ego, desperate for validation, terrified of humiliation. And if you cannot win there, no strategy, no mentor, no system will save you. So I ask you now, not as a trader, but as a mirror. When you stare at that chart, when you feel the surge of fear and the heat of greed, when your finger trembles over the mouse, are you truly in command? Or has the market already captured you, not by taking your money, but by taking the one thing more precious, your mind? Because the ultimate revelation is this: the real battle is not against the market. The real battle is against yourself. And until you face that battle, until you understand it, until you fight it with clarity, every win will feel hollow, and every loss will feel inevitable. This is where the journey begins. Not with a strategy, not with a signal, not with a chart, but with a question you can no longer ignore. Will you master your emotions, or will they master you? The screen flickers again. Another opportunity appears, so clean, so obvious that you wonder how anyone could miss it. You enter. At first, the trade behaves exactly as you envisioned, climbing obediently in your favor. Relief washes over you. For a moment, the world feels aligned, but then the candle stalls. The chart hesitates. A shadow forms at the top. In the space of seconds, the certainty that filled your chest turns sour. You lean forward, eyes tightening, heartbeat accelerating. The perfect setup is no longer perfect. It is now a storm cloud forming above you. The trade slips. You tell yourself to hold. You've seen pullbacks before. Yet a whisper grows louder. What if it doesn't come back? Fear, the same force that has stalked you since the first time you clicked buy or sell. The same force that disguises itself as rational caution, but in truth, is a parasite feeding on your hesitation. And in that moment, the true question surfaces, not whether the trade will win or lose, but why does fear have such power over you? Fear is only the first mask. Behind it lurks greed, ego, doubt, hesitation, overconfidence. You've worn each mask at different times, sometimes within the same trading session. These forces are not random, they are ancient, stitched into the very fabric of human psychology. In Forex, gold and crypto where volatility can shake a trend apart in seconds, these traits are magnified like light through a lens. What in ordinary life might be a faint emotional tug becomes a tidal wave. A hesitation that in daily life costs you nothing can here cost you everything. Why? Because trading compresses time and amplifies consequence. The market is a magnifying glass for your humanity, exposing every crack, every contradiction, every shadow. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the repressed parts of yourself that you deny, hide, or project onto the world. In trading, your shadow comes alive, that greedy impulse you swear you've conquered. It bursts forth the moment you see a green candle surge, whispering, "Hold a little longer, double the size, ride it to glory." That fear you pretend you've tamed, it erupts when a position moves slightly against you, urging, "Close now before disaster." Your trading account becomes a theater for the shadow. You are not just entering trades, you are wrestling with ghosts of your own making. And because you refuse to face them directly, you battle them on the screen instead, projecting your hidden chaos onto charts that never asked to carry it. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, the insatiable drive to expand, to conquer, to impose order on chaos. Traders embody this will every time they open a position. When you buy, you believe you see order where others see noise. You impose your vision on the market, declaring, "This shall rise." When you sell, you claim superiority over the swarm, whispering, "This shall fall." But the market does not bend to your will. It humbles, it mocks, it exposes. And when your will to power is shattered by a sudden reversal, what remains? Often not humility, but rage-revenge trades, over-leverage, the desperate attempt to reclaim dominance. You are no longer trading. You are waging war with a phantom opponent, blind to the fact that the battlefield is inside you. Arthur Schopenhauer described human life as endless striving, desire without rest, pursuit without peace. The moment one desire is satisfied, another takes its place, and suffering continues. In trading, this cycle is merciless. One win is never enough. One profitable day does not satisfy. Even after you hit your target, you ask, what if I could have made more? So you stay. You push, you chase, and often, the very profits you captured become fuel for your destruction. The striving never ends because it cannot. You thought you came for money, but money is only the surface desire. Beneath it is the hunger for validation, for freedom, for escape from mediocrity. And those hungers cannot be quenched by numbers on a screen. Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of the concentration camps, wrote that human beings can endure any suffering if they find meaning in it. In trading, suffering is inevitably losses, mistakes, humiliation. But do you assign meaning to these losses, or do you treat them as cruel accidents? The difference matters. Without meaning, every loss feels like a wound, an injustice. With meaning, each loss becomes a lesson, a step on the path to transformation. Most traders never find that meaning. They suffer blindly, interpreting each drawdown as proof of their inadequacy. They never pause to see that the market, brutal as it is offering them a mirror, not punishment, but revelation. Look closer at your own behavior. How often do you blame the market, the news, the broker, the whales, the algorithms? How often do you curse manipulation, bad luck, unfair volatility? And yet, is it truly the market you rage against or yourself? When you project your insecurities outward, the chart becomes a battlefield for your inner wars. The stop-loss that stings isn't just numbers, it's your ego bleeding. The missed move isn't just an opportunity lost, it's your doubt gnawing at you. The market becomes the canvas upon which your psychology paints itself in real time. Every candle is colored not only by supply and demand, but by your fear, your greed, your shadow. Forex moves with relentless speed, gold with sudden spikes, crypto with manic extremes. These instruments are unforgiving amplifiers. They take your smallest flaw and magnify it into catastrophe. Hesitate for seconds in Forex, and the move is gone. Misjudge leverage in gold, and the account is crippled. Overstay in crypto, and a 20% reversal devours your profit. The markets themselves are not evil. They are simply mirrors, fast, merciless, amplified mirrors. And what they show, most cannot bear to see. So here you are, convinced the problem lies out there on the charts, in the spreads, in the volatility. But the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. The problem is not the market. The problem is you. It is not price that makes you panic, but fear. Not candles that seduce you, but greed. Not volatility that ruins you, but ego. And until you see this, until you name it, you will remain trapped in the cycle, striving, suffering, projecting, blaming. The market will remain a tormentor, when in truth, it has only ever been a mirror. And yet, even now, a question lingers unresolved. If the true struggle is internal, not external, then how deep does that struggle go? How much of what you call trading is really trading at all, and how much is the echo of your shadow, your will to power, your endless striving for meaning in a game designed to strip illusions bare? You will need to answer this, sooner or later, because the longer you ignore it, the more it festers. And the cost is not measured only in money, it is measured in identity. Picture yourself again before the screen. The charts flicker like restless fire. Your plan is written beside you, clean rules, firm boundaries, rational targets. But when the candle jerks violently against your position, your hand betrays you. You close too early, or too late. You curse yourself. Then, desperate, you re-enter. Hours later, you sit motionless, staring at the account balance. Smaller, bleeding, the room feels colder. You swear it was only a mistake, a single error. But you know, deep down, it wasn't the first, and it will not be the last. Because the real consequence of ignoring psychology is not the occasional loss, it is the slow erosion of who you are. Every trader knows someone, nor is someone who has watched an account evaporate in a single day. It begins innocently enough. One trade goes wrong. The loss stings. You tell yourself you'll recover quickly. You increase the position size, just slightly. The next loss bites deeper. Panic replaces patience. You double down. Soon you're not trading with reason, you're gambling with desperation. And then, in one devastating sequence, the account collapses. Not because the market is cruel, but because you are unwilling to stop. This is not rare, it is epidemic. Entire careers vanish into this graveyard of blown accounts, each one a monument to emotions unchecked. But the collapse is not always financial. Sometimes the destruction is slower, subtler, more insidious. You go to bed, but your mind does not follow. The trades replay in your head like ghosts what you should have done, what you could have done, what you will do tomorrow. Your body lies in bed, but your spirit is trapped in the charts. The market becomes your second heartbeat, pulsing through every moment. You wake in the night to check positions. You cannot focus at work, cannot rest on weekends. The numbers crawl into your dreams. You are no longer trading. You are being traded, your peace, your sleep, your sanity. Why is it so hard to stop? Why do you return, even after pain, even after ruin? Because the market is a drug. The spikes of euphoria when a trade soars in your favor release the same chemical storms as a gambler jackpot or a thrill-seeker leap. Dopamine floods, intoxicating, addictive, but the crash is inevitable. And like any addict, you chase the high again, not for profit, but for feeling. This is why traders stay long after losses pile high. They are not chasing money anymore. They are chasing the rush of possibility, the brief illusion of control, the fleeting moment where the chaos of life seems conquered by a single candle. The market becomes not an opportunity, but an altar, and you sacrifice yourself upon it, again and again. What happens when losses are no longer just numbers, but reflections of your worth? You start to confuse your account balance with your identity. A winning trade means you are brilliant. A losing trade means you are worthless. The chart stops being a market hit, becomes a mirror of your soul. Soon, you cannot tell the difference between a loss in the market and a wound in your being. You no longer say, "I lost money." You say, "I am a loser." This confusion corrodes you. It makes every session not a test of skill, but a test of self. And the more you lose, the more you crumble. It is not only raw emotion that destroys you. It is the silent architecture of your own mind biases hardwired into human psychology that turn trading into self-sabotage. Loss, aversion. Losses feel twice as painful as gains feel rewarding. So you hold losers too long, desperate to avoid the pain. You cut winners too quickly, afraid they will vanish. The result, small gains, massive losses. Gambler fallacy. After 5 losses, you convince yourself the next one must win. You forget that each trade is independent. You load up on risk, as though the universe owes you balance. It does not. You are no longer trading. You are being traded, your peace, your sleep, your sanity. Why is it so hard to stop? Why do you return, even after pain, even after ruin? Because the market is a drug. The spikes of euphoria when a trade soars in your favor release the same chemical storms as a gambler jackpot or a thrill-seeker leap. Dopamine floods, intoxicating, addictive, but the crash is inevitable. And like any addict, you chase the high again, not for profit, but for feeling. This is why traders stay long after losses pile high. They are not chasing money anymore. They are chasing the rush of possibility, the brief illusion of control, the fleeting moment where the chaos of life seems conquered by a single candle. The market becomes not an opportunity, but an altar, and you sacrifice yourself upon it, again and again. What happens when losses are no longer just numbers, but reflections of your worth? You start to confuse your account balance with your identity. A winning trade means you are brilliant. A losing trade means you are worthless. The chart stops being a market hit, becomes a mirror of your soul. Soon, you cannot tell the difference between a loss in the market and a wound in your being. You no longer say, "I lost money." You say, "I am a loser." This confusion corrodes you. It makes every session not a test of skill, but a test of self. And the more you lose, the more you crumble. It is not only raw emotion that destroys you. It is the silent architecture of your own mind biases hardwired into human psychology that turn trading into self-sabotage. Loss, aversion. Losses feel twice as painful as gains feel rewarding. So you hold losers too long, desperate to avoid the pain. You cut winners too quickly, afraid they will vanish. The result, small gains, massive losses. Gambler fallacy. After 5 losses, you convince yourself the next one must win. You forget that each trade is independent. You load up on risk, as though the universe owes you balance. It does not. Confirmation bias. You seek information that validates your position, ignoring the signs that scream against you. You follow voices that agree with you, blind to the storm approaching. Herd mentality. You buy because others buy, sell because others sell. You drown in the noise of hype cycles, believing the crowd knows better. But the crowd is just as lost, just as fearful, just as blind. Each bias is a trap, and the market, with its relentless volatility, ensures that each trap is sprung. Look deeper, and you see that your struggle is not only internal, it is also cultural. Everywhere you look, you are told to chase more. More money, more freedom, more status. Social media glorifies the screenshot of the winning trade, never the nights of despair. Forums overflow with promises of quick riches. Influencers flaunt lifestyles supposedly born from effortless trading. You absorb these messages until they feel like your own thoughts. You begin to measure your progress not by discipline, but by comparison. You ask not, am I improving? But, why don't I have what they have? The herd is not only in the market yet, is in your mind. And so, step by step, you become blind. Blind to your own patterns, repeating the same mistakes while expecting different results. Blind to the market itself, projecting your fears and hopes onto neutral charts. Blind to the warning signs of addiction, exhaustion, destruction. You tell yourself you are learning, but you are only spinning in circles. You tell yourself you are fighting, but you are only feeding the very forces that consume you. This blindness is the most dangerous consequence of all, because as long as you cannot see, you cannot change. Understand this clearly. Ignoring psychology does not merely slow your progress, it destroys you. It blows accounts, it robs sleep, it enslaves your emotions, it fractures your identity, it blinds you to truth. The market does not need to defeat you, you will defeat yourself. And yet, most traders continue as if this problem is peripheral, something to be patched with a new indicator, a new system, a new guru. They seek solutions outside, never realizing the enemy has always been inside. So imagine now, you stand at the edge of a trade, the mouse hovers. Your strategy says one thing, your emotions scream another. You think the decision is small, temporary, harmless, but beneath it lies a truth far darker. Every time you ignore the battle within, you hand the knife to your emotions and press it closer to your own throat. How many more times will you do this? How many more nights will you lie awake, chained to the ghost of a chart? How many more identities will you sacrifice before you admit what has always been true? The market is not your master. Fear is, greed is, ego is, and unless you face them, the consequence is not only financial ruin, it is the erosion of who you are. The urgency grows. You cannot remain blind forever. You cannot survive long while feeding the very forces that seek to consume you. The problem has revealed itself. The consequences are undeniable, but the question remains, can you break free? Or will you continue to trade, not the market, but your own destruction? The choice waits. Imagine yourself again at the chart, but this time, instead of your usual posture hunched, restless, heart pounding, you are still. You breathe. The market twitches and writhes, but you do not flinch. A spike appears, a collapse follows, yet your hand remains steady. It is not because you know what will happen next. You don't. No one does. It is because you have learned the first radical truth. Mastery in trading is not about prediction. It is about discipline, detachment, and humility. The rebellion begins here, not against the market, but against the illusions that have ruled you. You once believed trading was about brilliance, finding the perfect entry, calling the top, predicting the future with surgical precision. You believed the best traders were prophets. But the truth is far simpler, far colder. The best traders are survivors. They are not the ones who win the most, but the ones who lose the best. They know that one reckless mistake can destroy 100 careful trades. They know that preservation of capital is the only foundation upon which growth can be built. To survive is not glamorous. It is not the screenshot on social media. It is walking away when others stay. It is cutting losses when your ego screams to hold. It is closing the platform when your blood runs hot. Survival does not make headlines, but it makes legends. Another rebellion. You once believed winning was everything, that losses were failures, humiliations, stains to be hidden. But the traders who endure know this. Losing well matters more than winning often. To lose well is to lose small, controlled, disciplined. To lose without rage. to lose without doubling down, to lose without letting one wound become a mortal gash. Each small, clean loss is the price of staying in the game. Each loss is tuition in the market-harsh school. Losing well is not weakness, it is strength. It is freedom from the chains of ego. For only when you can lose without breaking can you win without fear. Here lies the irony. The less you cling, the more you gain. When you stop trying to control the market, you gain control over yourself. When you stop demanding constant wins, you gain the endurance to last. When you stop chasing perfection, you gain the calm to act with clarity. Detachment is the weapon most traders never wield. Think of it. The candle surges, greed whispers, stay. Detachment says, exit. The trade falters, fear screams, close now. Detachment says, hold steady. Detachment frees you from the market chains, because you are no longer bargaining with your soul for each tick. You are not enslaved to every fluctuation. You become the still center in the storm. Every trader who reaches maturity carries scars. The stories repeat. Accounts blown, nights spent in despair, illusions shattered. Yet those who rise again are not broken, they are reborn. The trader who once believed in prediction now believes in risk management. The trader who once sought thrills now seeks discipline. The trader who once chased riches now treasures survival. These are not lessons learned from comfort. They are lessons written in blood, in tears, in the ashes of failure. You cannot borrow them. You cannot buy them. You can only earn them through rebellion, through breaking the chains of fear and greed, through facing the humiliation of loss without surrendering your soul. The rebellion demands that you confront the illusions that once guided you. The illusion that more trades mean more money. The illusion that bigger risk means bigger freedom. The illusion that you can outsmart volatility. The illusion that winning validates your worth. Each illusion is a prison, and each must be torn down. You are not here to prove yourself. You are not here to conquer the market. You are here to master yourself. The charts will not flatter you. They will not praise you. They will not care. But in stripping you bare, they offer something deeper than riches, the chance to transform. You begin to see yourself differently. You are no longer a gambler, no longer a victim, no longer a dreamer chained to hype. You are a rebel against your own illusions. This rebellion is not loud. It is silent, internal, invisible. It shows itself in the discipline to stop when you want to continue, in the patience to wait when you want to act, in the humility to admit you do not know. The rebel trader finds power not in controlling the market, but in refusing to be controlled by themselves. Think of the trader who lost everything, who watched their account vanish in a storm of overleverage. In the ashes of defeat, they found clarity. Never again. They rebuilt not their account first, but their discipline, their patience, their detachment. Think of the trader who chased every move, hungry for action. Addicted to the rush, exhausted, burned, humiliated, they finally saw the truth. Action is not progress. In silence, they learned to wait, and waiting made them stronger. Think of the trader who once believed losses meant they were worthless. They almost quit, but then they realized, the market does not judge. Only they judge themselves. And in releasing that judgment, they found freedom. Every great trader is a story of failure turned into fire. Every rebirth begins with destruction. This is not a lecture. This is liberation. You are free to let go of the illusions. Free to stop chasing every move. Free to stop fighting ghosts. Free to stop defining yourself by wins and losses. The rebellion is not about rejecting trading, it is about reclaiming yourself within trading. It is about transforming the battlefield of emotions into the dojo of discipline. Imagine this freedom, to sit at the chart without trembling, to see profit without greed, loss without despair, to walk away without shame, to act without chains. This is not fantasy, it is the path of rebellion. So the question stands before you like a blade at dawn. Will you remain a prisoner enslaved to fear, greed, and ego, or will you rebel? The rebellion is not easy. It will strip you of illusions you once clung to like oxygen. It will demand humility when you crave glory. It will demand patience when you crave action. It will demand that you die to who you were, so you can be reborn as who you must become. But if you take this path, you will find something rarer than riches. Freedom. Freedom from addiction. Freedom from illusion. Freedom from the tyranny of your own shadow. You began this journey believing the battle was with the market. You now see the battle was with yourself. But there is a deeper revelation still waiting. The market is not your enemy. It is your mirror. And the final step of this path is to see in that mirror not a tormentor, but a teacher. The room is quiet, the charts glow, but you are no longer trembling. You no longer sit as a captive before the market shifting storms. You sit as something else now, an observer, a witness. The candles move, rising and falling, yet you feel no urge to chase, no compulsion to control. And then, like a whisper breaking through static, the deepest realization arrives. The market is not your enemy, it is your mirror. Think carefully. When you entered recklessly, what was reflected back? Not just a loss, but your impatience. When you refused to close a bad trade, what was revealed? Not just a deeper drawdown, but your fear of admitting you were wrong. When you doubled down on revenge, what stared back at you? Not opportunity, but ego, naked and unashamed. Every tick, every surge, every collapse was never about the market, it was about you. Forex, gold, crypto, they do not know your name. They do not know your hopes or fears. But when you step into their current, they become a mirror polished with fire. They show you what you could not see in yourself. Here lies the secret. Trading is not a marketplace, but every loss is not punishment. It is a teacher correcting your stance. Every win is not rewarded, is a test, tempting you with arrogance. Every session is not a gamble, it is training, sharpening your awareness. The dojo does not flatter, it does not coddle. It breaks you, again and again, until only discipline remains. Until you are no longer enslaved by fear, greed, or ego. Until you no longer cling to illusions. When you understand this, trading becomes more than a quest for riches. It becomes a crucible for transformation. Think of your past losses, the ones that cut deep, the ones that made you want to quit. Look at them again, not as wounds, but as messages. That time you blew the account, it was teaching you humility. That night you couldn't sleep, it was teaching you detachment. That trade you exited too soon, it was teaching you patience. Each loss was the market handing you a mirror and asking, do you see yourself now? The pain was not pointless. It was the tuition fee of your evolution. But wins, too, carry danger. Perhaps more danger than losses. For when you win, the shadow whispers louder. Ego swells. Overconfidence poisons judgment. The very success you crave becomes a trap. The win asks you, will you grow arrogant, or will you remain humble? Will you chase more, or will you walk away with discipline intact? Every win is a test, disguised as triumph. Pass it, and you grow. Fail it, and you stumble into the same old cycles. The mirror of the market is relentless. It shows what you want to hide. It forces confrontation with truths you would rather avoid. You thought you were disciplined, until the green candle tempted you. You thought you were fearless, until the red plunge froze you. You thought you were humble, until a string of wins inflated you. This mirror strips you bare. It does not care about your excuses. It does not bend to your stories. It reflects you exactly as you are. And that reflection demands one thing: transformation. This is why the paradox is so sharp. Fear promises riches, but demands your soul first. Most traders give their soul unconsciously. They sacrifice peace, identity, and integrity for the mirage of profit. They chased endlessly, never realizing that what they sought was never money, it was mastery of themselves. The few who awaken see the truth. The market does not exist to make them rich. It exists to make them whole. Riches may come, yes, but they are secondary, fleeting, dust. The real treasure is who you become when you survive the dojo, when you face the mirror without looking away. Think of it, the impulsive trader becomes patient, the arrogant trader becomes humble, the fearful trader becomes calm, the addicted trader becomes free. The market shapes not your account first, but your identity. It strips, burns, refines, rebuilds, until what remains is not just a trader, but a person forged by fire. And when that transformation occurs, you see it clearly. It was never about winning trades. It was about winning yourself. Look again at the charts. Notice how fleeting they are. The candles rise, fall, vanish. The trades open, close, disappear. The account grows, shrinks, fluctuates. Nothing remains. But what remains is you, the one who has walked through fire, the one who has faced fear and greed, the one who has refused to give away their soul. The trades vanish, the charts fade, the numbers dissolve, but who you become remains. So now, ask yourself, will you continue to see the market as a cruel enemy, a battlefield where you must claw for scraps of profit? Or will you see it as it truly is, a mirror, a dojo, a relentless but honest teacher? Because in that shift, everything changes. You no longer fear losses, you learn from them. You no longer worship wins, you grow through them. You no longer trade to escape yourself, you trade to encounter yourself. And in that encounter, you find something beyond money, beyond status, beyond freedom. You find transformation. So here you stand, at the edge of another chart, another candle, another trade. You could see it as risk. You could see it as opportunity. But if you dare, see it as a mirror. The market will not lie to you. It will not flatter you. It will not coddle you. It will reveal you. And in that revelation lies the greatest wealth of all. Because the trades vanish, the charts fade, the numbers dissolve. But who you become remains.